They were waiting. Hello, good evening. Is anyone there? Is anyone present? If anyone is present, you are very welcome to speak. Here we are yet again. I don't know how the internet works. I am a technophobe. I am technically inept. Two of you, three of you have pressed like, but nobody seems to be showing presence. Alexis has turned up at last. Alexis Parr, the lovely Alexis. We say cheers to you, and Min says cheers to you from across the table. We love our Alexis. So, anyway, it's telling us people are arriving. Tina, Mark, Marianne, Heidi, Julie Rowley, Bambi, and Abby. I have utterly no idea. Here I am in my little box. I'm a bit like David Blaine. You know, he got switched off for 44 days in his little box. I'm in a similarly sized little box here off a restaurant on the south of France. In the south of France, sorry, not on. That's very naff. How tacky of me to say it. Anyway, here I am, and you claim you can hear me now. I don't know if I put my headphones in, if it makes it any better, but you can now hear me. So I'll put the microphone closer to me so I can shout louder and speak to you. Anyway, I think we begin tonight after having spoken about. I'm terribly sorry for having held you all up. The great Gertrude says we have sound. Well, there you go. You can be heard perfectly. Well, I do happen to enunciate my words rather loudly. So I do hope you can hear my dulcet tones as Bambi Debonair says. Is it a glamping box? No, I'm not staying in the box. No, I do not live in the box. It's just a box we visit. It has some very nice wine in it, the Crazy Trapé, which is rather drinkable. I'm not sponsored by the Crazy Trapé, so I make that very clear because I believe that these internet platforms expect you to make clear if you are sponsored by someone. I am not sponsored by the Crazy Trapé, but it's perfectly drinkable, €8 a bottle at a supermarket wine, and I think it's about €30 in a restaurant or something. There we go. But no, tonight we shall begin with Dan Wootton. Mr. Wootton has been suspended by GB News after the Lawrence Fox character, the man who used to be in Inspector Morse sequel, made derogatory comments about a female political journalist on his show, asking who would SH star G that. Now, that is an utterly appalling example of GB News not being regulated properly. Now, why has GB News not dealt with Dan Wootton earlier after the Byline Times newspaper did very good work to investigate Dan Wootton, their employee? I don't really like many of the employees of GB News. I do not like Amanda Patel, a cheap third-rate scrounger who is like a Poundland version of another presenter, of another Daily Mail presenter, who I won't name, who's Welsh, who Alexis will know who she is. I don't like, the quality of their presenters. It is an appalling channel, and it should be handled the same way as all other mainstream media, given that they are meant to adhere to the broadcasting standards codes. They don't. But this man, Dan Wootton, who himself stands accused of all sorts of things, And he's a man who bullied the wonderful, lovely actor Johnny Depp, who was abused by the revolting, horrible piece of toe rag who he used to be involved with. I won't bring her name into it. I don't see the point. You all know who she is. And that woman and this Lawrence Fox are shameful people. Lawrence Fox used to date and had children with a lovely lady, and well, it didn't work out, but I won't be bringing her name into it because I think it's not fair to bring her name into it. But Dan Wootton has been finally suspended, and he also chose to upset a journalist called Ava Evans. Now, Ava is very hurt by what has been said about her. I don't know Ava, never even heard of her, never encountered her, don't know much about her, don't know a single thing about Ava, but I can tell you, Lawrence Fox, the Reclaim Party, and I spoke about Andrew Bridgen, who is an MP for Mr. Fox's Reclaim Party last night, a greedy, grabbing ex-Tory MP who paid for 11 of his bathrooms, and another expenses, grabbing MP, awful people. I don't like this kind of soiled goods. We used to have people in politics in our country who were decent, who were respectable, who were kind-hearted, who actually went out there and helped their constituents. I have a friend in Broadstairs. She is a socialist. She is left-wing beyond belief. She goes to the local pub every day. She's the first person there. But she said to me, Jonathan Aitken, who was a right-wing Conservative MP, she said, when he was the MP for Broadstairs, when I had a problem about something to do with my family, he was the first to help me. Unlike the current MP, Craig McKinley. Now, we have this piece of toe rag, Lawrence Fox, who is this Reclaim Party, and his little friend, the creep, the utter creep, Dan Wootton, the smirking face of disdain, he said on one of his programs. Mr. Wootton should be sent back to Australia. I don't care about the Bibby Stockholm in this case. I would like Dan Wootton deported. Dan Wootton and Amanda Platel are two of the most revolting Australian people I've ever come across. I have many Australian friends. I don't like Mr. Wootton. I've never met him. I have spent time with Amanda Platel when she worked for William Hague. The two of them bring shame upon journalism. They should be evicted from this country because they are toe rags and they are shameful, disgusting. And as for Lawrence Fox, he is just deranged. He ought to be sectioned. I don't like Mr. Fox. Mr. Fox used to be an actor. He should stick to acting. He should not be intervening in the world of politics with his crazy right-wing lunatic theories. I have many friends who don't believe in, things that I believe in, and they are entitled to their views, but they do not speak in the way that this man Fox has spoken today. Mr. Fox has said terrible things about this lady, Ava Evans. Ava Evans should not have been insulted in the way she was. And I don't know Ava Evans. I cannot possibly comment on Ava Evans, but I will say there is utterly no need for Fox, for Wootton and Lawrence Fox to speak so disgustingly of a woman, to say, we're past the watershed, so I can say this. Show me a single self-respecting man that would ever climb in bed with a woman ever who was like her, basically. That is a very offensive thing to say, and I support this lady, Ava. I don't know her, never met her, but that's all I shall say about this. I don't have more to say on that. She is shocked. She's really hurt. He has been suspended. The Wootton man, I hope the Wootton man is sacked, because that's what should happen. I've spoken to journalists at the Daily Mail this evening, and they have confirmed to me off the record that there is no way back for Wootton. They support not bringing him back. Wootton has crossed the line. Wootton is a piece of rubbish. He belongs in the bog. He should bog off. He is a disgusting man, and GB News should have acted earlier. You know, it's utterly terrible. Miss Evans told Jeremy Vine, I'm really hurt by it, I'm shocked by it, I'm shocked that it went out. You know, this is the sort of talk that you worry that men have about you when you're not in the room. There is always a sort of worry in the back of your mind, which is, are people actually interested in what I'm saying or what I'm doing? Or are they just looking at me physically and thinking, I think that clip proves that there's some men who are. I'm actually a journalist rather than a commentator, and I'd much rather be judged and asked about my work than have people talking about my body. Now, Miss Evans should be saluted. I support Miss Evans, and I'm not going to go into the whole Russell Brand matter this evening, but, you know, there's another fine example. People like this should be taught to behave themselves. And eras have changed, and I don't necessarily agree with cancel culture, and you all know that because I've talked about cancel culture and my dislike of it, but I do think that there should be an era of respect. Respect everybody around you. You know, my parents, my grandparents have always taught me growing up that if you don't respect people, nobody will respect you. So why don't we all learn to be more respectful to one another? If we say something pleasant to one another, instead of being unpleasant to one another, maybe the world will be a better place. I really do think it is time that all of this nonsense was stopped. And it is time that we all manned up, growed up, and showed up and started being respectful. Let's learn the art and the talent of being respectful to one another. If we all stopped shouting at one another, being angry with one another, and actually said pleasant things instead of things like what Mr. Fox has come out with and Mr. Wootton, let's have a better world. That is what matters in this particular case. Now, I can see many of you are agreeing with me. Now, I appreciate that. But now we have to make this happen. We have to stop being like Andrew Tate and all of these stupid morons that are being encouraged by social media. Let's encourage decency. I'm not talking about platitudes. I'm talking about making this actually happen. Tate is hate, and that is something that should go down in history. Tate is hate. We don't need any more Andrew Tates in this world. Andrew Tate is a misogynist, and he's a bore, and he's revolting, and he's rude. Let's find people who actually say something positive. Let's celebrate the good people in the world. Let's bring them forward, and let's stop going on about Andrew Tate. Tate is my mate, says one of you. Well, you're entitled to have him as your mate, but Dance Up agrees. Tate equals hate. But I'm not particularly going on about that. Here is our friend, our lovely friend from England, Nav. Oi, oi, says Nav. You see, there's my friend. They do call in occasionally. Not, and my friend last night, and I will be uploading a video, especially for you all. It's me talking about Miss Marple, and that's a very positive video. I can assure you, it was about my positive relationship with Miss Marple. It was filmed a year ago, but the person has finally edited it. So you'll be getting that tomorrow. So I hope that you will enjoy that. I think we should have more positive, productive things in the world because it will make you all happier. There we go. So moving along, I shall go to my next topic, but we shall leave the Fox matter alone. I shall come back to it. Well, I will talk about GB News. The same channel we talked about is supposedly now going into a co-bid with the Citadel hedge fund chief Ken Griffin to buy the Daily Telegraph. I think the Daily Telegraph was once a great newspaper. It was a lovely newspaper that was edited by my father's friend, Max Hastings, a wonderful man who used to go fishing with him, and my dear friend Lord Deeds, Bill Deeds, who I used to drink whiskey with in the Carlton Club, and whose grandson I used to go to lunch at table 11 at Bellamy's restaurant in Mayfair. The last time I flew back from France, I was sitting next to the chef, and I'd never even met him. And the restaurant had been open 11 years, but I used to always sit at table 11. So that was a bizarre encounter. I would recommend Bellamy's as the best restaurant to go to in Mayfair. Invisible Ray says, Max Hastings has all the right gear. Yes, Max Hastings is one of the most wonderful gentlemen, and I urge you to read his books. He is a wonderful man who loves fishing, and he was in the army, and then he was involved in newspapers. He is the most delightful gentleman I've ever met, and I urge you all to look him up. Do buy a copy of his books if you can. I don't know the titles of the books because I don't have the books in front of me, but I would say please buy Max Hastings' wonderful books. Max Hastings is a hero of mine, and my father loves his works about fishing also because my dad is very into fly fishing, and people who are into fly fishing tend to flock together because they're all a bit eccentric and they all do all sorts of strange things and enjoy life. Again, enjoy everything you do or stop doing it. That is my advice to you all. I think this evening I want to say this after reading about Dan Wootton, a very wicked person. So, the Telegraph could be sold to this group that's connected with GB News. Well, I view the Telegraph now as a comic, so I don't really care what happens to it. But I think it's very, very sad that we are now in a situation where Citadel, which is controlled by an American billionaire, is going to buy a British newspaper and could buy the Spectator, which I used to love reading. Another thing that I thought was great. he is involved in the unheard. I do occasionally read unheard, but I don't like the content. It does not excite me. It is boring. It is dull. It is not relevant. I find it deeply disappointing, and I would like to see the Telegraph return to being a decent newspaper. Presently, I don't see that happening. So, anyway, we shall move along to our next topic. Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson has been given a go ahead to build a swimming pool in the garden of his Oxfordshire home, in spite of the fact that there are the crested newts, the Triturus crustaceus, were living there. He is going to drive those poor newts out of their home because he wants to make way for his swimming pool for him and his wine chucking wife, Carrie, the woman who has blocked me on Instagram. I am Thank you, Carrie Johnson. Please may I say thank you ever so much for blocking me on Instagram. If I never have to see you anywhere ever again, I'm honored. You are a tedious woman who has lived off the benefit of my next topic. I'm not going to talk anymore about Boris Johnson's swimming pool, but I'm going to talk about Boris Johnson's benefactor. Now, Lord Bamford, whose home in Edgerton Crescent Boris Johnson has been living in until he moved to his Oxfordshire mansion, is now under investigation by Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs. According to The Guardian this evening, they are investigating the tax affairs of the biggest donor to the Conservative Party, Anthony Bamford. Now, the Bamfords are people I have mixed feelings about. I don't mind their little cafe, the Dalesford. I think their watch company is a little curious. I've had multiple dealings with them over the years, but and Mark Bamford, who is the brother of Lord Anthony, I used to spend time with in the brasserie, and Mark is a perfectly pleasant gentleman. Neither have provided comment at the time of publication to The Guardian, but they are under investigation for their tax affairs. They have given over £10 million to the Conservative Party in recent years. Now, the Bamfords are entitled to do whatever they wish with their money. They are in what's called the super donor category of donors to the Tory party. And, Boris was pictured driving a JCB through a wall, and he said that was his revenge on Brexit. I'm terribly sorry to the Bamfords, but I think the Bamfords should man up, grow up, and show up and explain themselves. It is jolly well time. And Lady Carol also, Lady Dorster Manuel is she's nicknamed. Explain yourself. I like your rosé, Lady Bamford. You make a nice rosé. I'm drinking rosé currently, but I'm not drinking yours. But it is jolly well time that these Bamfords explained why they are so keen to fund an out-of-office ex-Prime Minister. I would like to know why you funded their wedding, for example, allowed it to happen on your property, you allowed them to live in your house. We would like to know some reasoning behind this. And I'm not alone in saying this. Tortoise Media, Byline Times, lots of people are asking the question. I realise the Bamfords, you will never ever want to speak to me ever again. I don't care. I want to know why you do not explain why you continue to associate with this absolutely vile man, Boris Johnson, who has let down this country. Now, my friend June, who may be listening, she loves Boris and she loves Brexit. I don't mind people who love an ex prime minister, they're entitled to it. But Boris Johnson and his father are irresponsible, revolting people. And I don't understand why they have been allowed to get away with all the things they've got away with. And it is time that these people were brought to account. I equally don't support the Labour Party. I cannot stand Keir Starmer. So I'm not saying that I'm some kind of Labour stooge. I do not support them either. But I want to have justice and decency for our country. Anyway, we'll move along from that matter and straight into the next matter, which also concerns the Conservative Party. And in that matter, we will talk about Priti Patel. Priti from hell, as I call her. She is an utterly useless waste of space. She turned up and has now become Dame Priti Patel at Windsor Castle after being formally receiving her honour from Princess Anne. I feel sorry for Princess Anne, and Boris Johnson was the very person that granted this piece of rubbish and waste of space a damehood. What on earth is wrong with him? Pretty from hell is one of the worst political people I've ever come across. She received her honour for political and public service. This woman has done nothing for our country. She is a disgrace. She is revolting. She is appalling. And she dressed like Barbie in pink. She wasn't pretty in pink. She was pretty damned bloody awful. And she is one of the most awful people. And she is now launching her leadership bid to take over our country. This woman thinks that she is going to become our next prime minister. We don't want the plastic, not fantastic, baked up Barbie to become our next prime minister. We are destined to have this vile woman, Dame Pretty, potentially as our next prime minister. She could be your next prime minister. Let's speak out and let's stop her. This woman is shameful and disgusting and a disgrace. So I don't want to say any more about her. I think I've said enough on that topic. I've done 28 minutes and I'm still not nearly done. So I shall go on to my next topic, which I haven't written down on my piece of paper, which is Donald Trump. Well, I have written it down. I know I have it here. Just it's in a different place. Now, this is a very strange story. The Democrats are up to their usual tricks. I don't like Donald Trump, but the Democrats are trying to be up to a trick. They have said that the value of Mar-a-Lago, which I don't know how much you know about Mar-a-Lago. I have been there. It was a wonderful building built by Marjorie Merriweather Post, and its name means sea to lake. And it's been owned since 1985 by Donald Trump. It's a 126 room, 62,500 square foot mansion. And these Democrat judges have been valuing it at $18 million in the court cases against Donald Trump. I am not a supporter of Donald Trump, as many of you know, but I will say the valuation of Mar-a-Lago is ludicrous given my realtor friends in Florida will say. Um, most houses of 62,500 square foot would be worth a hell of a lot more. It's probably worth around about $350 million. And they are trying to do this to Donald Trump because they're trying to devalue his assets. Now, I don't like Mr. Trump. I don't support Mr. Trump. I don't support Mr. Biden. I don't support any of them. It's nothing to do with me. But, the shenanigans of telling untruths does not help any of us. And this is a shenanigan that should not be used in the court cases against Donald Trump. His home, Mar-a-Lago, which he lives in part of, and obviously part of it is used for his members only club, which I have been to only many, many years ago. I haven't been there recently, not since he was president, um, is ridiculous. So I have to say, the lies being told about the value of Mar-a-Lago are completely crackpot. And anyway, there we go. So I shall move on to my final story. I was going to talk about people being offended about Russell Brand, but I'm not going to bother. And instead, what I will do, we only have 31 minutes left. We're 31 minutes going, but I shall talk about the billionaire Pierre Shen, who is selling 25,000 bottles of his wine. It's going to be the most expensive wine collection ever he sold, worth 41 million. I think we'd all rather be in the cellar, wouldn't we? We'd all love to have a bit of a go on that. And this Taiwanese billionaire is selling his collection at auctions in Paris, London, New York, Hong Kong, and Berlin. So this gentleman hasn't even got to enjoy these wines, which includes Petrus, and I've had Petrus over the years, and I've had Pomerol, and I've had all sorts of lovely wines. I think that is a lovely thing. So that is the end of my discussion. So now it's time for you to ask me a few questions, if you so wish, and I will answer your questions. Um, I will take the first 10 questions that come in. So let's have 10 questions, if you could, please. That would be enjoyable. William Park says there's increasing gustiness in Lancashire. Well, I'm sorry about the wind in Lancashire. I can't help about that there, but I hope to meet you one day soon, William. Lady of the Lake would like a new political party. Bambi would like to know when will I be back in the UK in about 3 weeks. Do I think Kevin Sinfield should be knighted? I don't know, Angela, who Kevin Sinfield is, so I can't answer. I love you, Angela. You're a lovely lady. You're always sending me messages, but I don't know the answer. I don't know who the person is. Have I done anything exciting today? I've been on a boat to Saint Tropez, and I'm sitting here drinking wine. It's been absolutely delightful. Glorious, yes. Do I speak French? No, I don't. Did I have a nice meal this evening? I had a lovely lunch at a lovely restaurant in the harbour area, Chez Madeleine Saint Tropez, a lovely restaurant. Do I think Alex Belfield should be removed? Paulie, yes. Paulie, I think your question is very valid. Alex Belfield is a wicked, evil man, and I hope he is removed from polite society forevermore. I don't support people of that type. He is disgusting, delusional, and wicked. Um, right. The next question: can a man menstruate? No, I'm not really into questions like that. But anyway, where do I like to eat in Saint Tropez? In the area of Saint Tropez, um, the Club 55 is very pleasant, and also the Le Salon is my favorite place in the vicinity. And also the little restaurant in the next to the fish market, Chez Madeleine, a lovely place. Um, your next question. Do they have bully dogs in France? Well, they probably do, but I don't want to be near one. What's my thoughts on The Matrix? What Matrix? I don't understand. The Matrix. I've seen a film called The Matrix. There we are. Have I met Joan Collins in France? No, I've met Joan Collins in England, but not in France. Um, has Polly put the kettle on? Yes, there is noise in the background. I do apologise, but I can't help the noise. I am sitting in a restaurant. What is the whistling? I think they're probably cleaning up their restaurant. Anyway, the noise has now stopped, so I hope you can hear clearly.
They're washing dishes.
They have to wash their dishes, and that's up to them. And I have to pour myself a bit more wine. So all is fine and all is divine. You're on holiday with me. Well, my friend said to me last night, watching me on these programs is a bit like having Steeples in the sitting room. So I hope I'm providing you entertainment like I'm in your sitting room. There we go. Have I eaten frog's legs? I have in the past, and I didn't particularly care for them. Not my kind of thing. I'm not into snails either. I love oysters, and I had some oysters today. I had some lovely oysters. There we go. Would I drink wine from the Christian Kruner's vineyard? I don't know who Christian Kruner is, so my thoughts on Lord Howard. Michael Howard and his wife Sandra are two delightful people. Sandra writes wonderful books, and I think that they are a delightful couple. And it's a great shame that Michael Howard never became Prime Minister because maybe we wouldn't be in this fine mess that we are in now because Michael Howard was a decent man as opposed to the likes of the rubbish of the Conservative Party like Anne Widdecombe, Ian Duncan Smith, and all the trash that took over the Conservative Party, people that ended up in UKIP and all the rest of it. Great shame. Michael Howard was always decent to me. I love Sandra. I think she's one of the most delightful ladies, and Lord and Lady Howard are decent, wonderful, kind-hearted people. And I interviewed her many years ago, and you can find the interview on my publication, thesteepletimes.com. So there you go. What are my thoughts on Matt Hancock? I think Matt Hancock should be thrown in a blender. He is somebody who did nothing other than cause us all havoc during these lockdowns. He showed us no respect, and he is a piece of rubbish and toe rag. There we go. You like the glass box? Well, the glass box liked me. It seems that it's a good place to do this TV show. So I thank the owners of this restaurant, and I shall tomorrow ask them if they will give me a card, and maybe I can present the card, and then you will know where the restaurant is. But I don't want to encourage the stalkers to come stalking me. That wouldn't be wise. So for the moment, I won't tell you exactly when we are. There we are. Johnny Depp. Well, I love Johnny Depp. You don't like the noise in the background, and you don't like Johnny Depp. Okay, that's fair enough. I like Johnny Depp very much. I didn't know the man well. I met him for 2 minutes when I went to Venice, and I have to say he was kind and decent-hearted and pleasant to me. I take as I find. Johnny Depp was filming a film with a friend of mine, and I happened to go on his yacht for all of 2 minutes. That's all I did. So I don't know him well, but he was decent, and I think Amber Heard is a piece of junk. She should be thrown in the blender along with the rest of the rubbish. Anyway, I'm entitled to my opinions. And Wise Angel says Johnny Depp is a fantastic actor. I have to say, I loved, him, all of his many recent films. A great man. He comes across well. There we go. What's my thoughts on the ozone layer healing? I don't know about climate change. I'm not going to comment on it. Sorry, that's not my. I'm not. I'm not an environmentalist. Oh, will I have a COVID vaccination? I have had COVID vaccinations. Yes, I am not getting into conspiracy theories. I don't want to deal with people who want to talk about conspiracy theories. COVID vaccination theories, not my world. It's not what I want to talk about. I'll leave that to other channels. You can go there, or you can listen to these people like David Icke ranting and raving. I don't have an opinion. If you want to take it, take it. If you don't take it. It's up to you. I will say it is your personal choice. I took these vaccinations because I wanted to travel, and they have not harmed me in any way. Other people claim they have harmed them. That is their choice to believe that. Or maybe it's because I enjoy drinking wine and I eat well and I get up every morning and I walk in the sunshine. I I do suffer with hay fever, and it's the only thing in the world that has ever affected me. I am not affected by COVID vaccination, but I've only had two COVID vaccinations. I don't know whether COVID will kill you or not. I cannot tell you either way, but these people who come at me going, COVID is going, COVID vaccinations will murder you. Well, they haven't killed me yet, so drink more whiskey, have another wine, pour yourself another gin, pour yourself a beer, whatever you're into. There's a man who I knew in Broadstairs. He was known as Conspiracy Jeff. He's an absolute piece of vomit-inducing piece of toe rag. And people like that offend me. He said all this rubbish about all of this. I'm still alive. He claims that 5G is going to get you. He claims that Prince Philip ate children in a park with Queen Elizabeth in Canada. Crazy cuckoo. And I can tell you, myself and my friends from the Magnet, we're still alive and still going there. He doesn't come anymore. It says a lot about him, doesn't it, really? That is what you need to think about in life. Think about staying alive. As I said earlier, think about being positive. Think about being kind. Always be kind to your neighbor. I have a lovely neighbor, a lady called Audrey, an elderly lady who walks around in her Jaeger coat. She walks around Broadstairs. She goes to the supermarket. She buys herself some food. She sits on the promenade. She harms nobody. She is very elderly. but she's kind. And everybody who stops by, she talks to. And she's kind-hearted and passionate and decent. Why don't we all be more like Audrey and less like Donald Trump and Andrew Tate? Let's be like Audrey. That's what I would urge you all tonight. Please be like Audrey. That is my answer to that question. I think Audrey is one of the kindest people I've ever come across. She is decent and talented, and she doesn't have a television. She listens to the radio a little, but she does not subject herself to all the rubbish that we all do. And that is an amazing thing about Audrey. I think we should celebrate people like that. You would love to get Audrey on the podcast. Well, no. Audrey won't be coming on the podcast because Audrey is a private person. And I'm terribly sorry. That's something she would never want to do. But raise a glass to Audrey, you say. Well, I raise my glass to Audrey. Raise a glass to Audrey.
Audrey?
Audrey.
Oh, Audrey.
Yes, the person in the background hasn't been listening, but anyway, she's now raised a glass to Audrey. Audrey is nothing like Tony Blair, but there we are. So, there we are. Well, when I get home, I will say hello to Audrey. But anyway, let's have 3 or 4 more questions, and then I will have to go. Because I think it's... you want me to dance? No, I won't be dancing. I don't do dancing. Do I look like a dancer? No, I'm not the tiny dancer. I'm nothing to do with Elton John. And no, he's not a friend of mine. Anyway. And the lovely Finn will be producing postcards soon. So we hope that you will be able to buy some and support Finn, because we love Finn. And we would love to help him. We want to help as many people as we can via this channel and do good things, as well as talk about all these degenerates that I occasionally go on about, which is obviously the news. Morris dancers. No, I'm not into Morris dancers. No, I think my father and grandfather always said that Morris dancers were a bit creepy. And I don't like the Morris dancers. No, I'm not into that.
Hello.
Not for me. What height am I? I don't know. 5'9", I believe. Right.
I guess 5'10".
We miss the people back in Broadstairs. Well, you'll be getting them back soon, don't worry. They're very much a dear part of my life. I love the people of Broadstairs, and I'm very lucky that I've found such delightful people as the people of the Magnet. And we have brought the Magnet on tour. I did show the glasses the other day, but I will show them again tomorrow. Wherever I am, I will bring a magnet glass, because a portable glass. No, Finn is not raising money for charity with his cards, but Finn will be selling his cards, and I hope that we can support Finn, because Finn is a talented person who has had his own problems, but he is a wonderful person. So let's support Finn. So we don't need to support a charity. If he wishes to support a charity, that's his choice. But no, we want to support Finn. That's what we will be doing. Lord Lucan will come to that another day. I can't be dealing with that tonight. Do I support any other artists? I used to support an artist called William Cookson. I've tried to help him, but anyway, that's a story for another day again. But no, Finn is the person who we are supporting, and that is the artist I would like you all to help. and it won't cost you very much to buy a few postcards from Finn once he starts selling his postcards. And we're going to get him organised and we will start selling his postcards. That is exactly what we will do. And then you can have some wonderful postcards that you can send notes to people. And that is something that is lacking in society in modern Britain and the modern world. We don't send letters to one another anymore. When you go to a dinner party, you should send a note afterwards. You should send a thank you note. So why don't you take a Finn card and post it and say thank you? All you have to do is write, dear Jane, thank you very much for the dinner I had with you last night. It was absolutely delightful. I loved the whatever, 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 whatever. And so kind of you, and you post that. That will be so appreciated by your hostess or host, whoever they may be. It would be so nice. It would be a lovely thing to do. So anyway, that is what I shall say. We're coming towards the end of our show. Alexis says, I've just sent you a card from Colbert, Sloane Square. Well, thank you ever so much, Alexis. You see, there's an example of somebody sending me a card. And I love my Alexis. Alexis is one of my dearest friends, absolutely wonderful lady, and I hope Alexis has enjoyed this conversation this evening. We've been friends for many years. She's a brilliant writer, talented person, and isn't it nice that Alexis sent me a card? Obviously, I won't see it till I get back to Boris, which will not be for a few weeks. But thank you ever so much. But why don't you all start learning the art of sending cards and saying thank you? It's a great thing. And soon you'll be able to buy Finn's cards. And his cards are lovely. He draws all sorts of different buildings you can have, and places and people and whatever. And maybe he can do a specific drawing for you if you will see. But for the moment, let's see what can be done with the things he has already. Have I seen Vanessa Paradis in Saint-Tropez? I don't know who Vanessa Paradis is, but I've heard
Johnny dear.
in Saint-Tropez. No, I have not seen her. No, and I don't know who she is. Who's washing the pots in Finn's absence? I don't know. Finn lives with his parents, and they are lovely people. So he doesn't live with me. I have many visitors to my home, but whilst I'm away, there will be no visitors to my home. She is Johnny Depp's ex-wife. Well, I didn't know her. I've never met her, and I can't possibly comment. But anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful, delightful evening, and I wish you happiness galore. And we will be back tomorrow with much more. Goodness knows what topics we'll have. And thank you to all of you for your kind, lovely messages. And I hope you have a wonderful night. Happiness galore. Cheers to you all, and good gardening. Good night.